Well, I'd like to call this business meeting to order, and it is now 9:05 according to the computer. We will now begin the public comment section of the business meeting. This is an opportunity for the public to address the commission on matters of public concern. Please refrain from using this time to discuss disciplinary cases or topics currently covered by the commission's rulemaking or policy initiatives. If you would like to comment on rules and development, please visit our Rules in Progress page on our website to ensure your input is considered in the rulemaking process. We also encourage you to participate in our rulemaking workshops and hearings. To provide feedback on Commission policies, guidelines, and interpretive statements, you can comment during one of the upcoming policy interested parties or policy committee meetings. The schedule for these meetings is available on our website under policy meetings. Additionally, the public may contact staff during normal business hours, and we recommend written comments at any time. Please note that we will not be answering questions or responding during this period. Staff will be available after the meeting to assist with any inquiries. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. When it is your turn to comment, please state your name and affiliation. And I just want to point out that part of the rulemaking that we will be considering today includes the small number of revisions related to the chronic pain issues, as well as the military spouse issues. So those are ones that we would like you to comment during the rulemaking portion. Right. We will now call for comments from the public.
We have one hand raised, Chuck. Let me unmute you. Go ahead. So I've unmuted you. I'm not sure why you're not able to speak. Okay, let me try Jeb. Jeb, are you able to speak?
Okay, how about now?
Oh, go ahead.
Hi.
Sorry.
Hi, it says Chuck File, but I'm actually Kathy File. That's my partner's name, so I apologize for that. My name is Kathy File, and I live in Olympia, Washington. And I was injured in a car crash when I was 35 years old. I'm in my 70s at this point, and for I would say the first 15, almost 20 years, I was on pain medication and not having difficulties with that. When the rules started to change and there was more consideration about giving people pain medications that had been working for me successfully and kept me employed. I went back to college. I'm a minister. I had lived a full life until the changes that started to happen. And the thing that I'm really aware of that I wanted to speak on today is the idea that there's kind of this automatic assumption that you're going to be titrated off of medications, whether that be slow or fast or onto something else. I've been given all different kinds of medications for pain that are not pain medications. I just want to say that pain medications really do have their place in long-term care for people who have chronic pain. I won't list all of the things that I have that I deal with on a day-to-day basis, but I am in a wheelchair. I do have bags and tubes and other things that keep me very aware of the medical issues that I deal with. What I've realized is that there's not a lot of patient after this has happened, after these decisions are made, what happens to the patients. And I just want to say, I know my time is running out. Do I get a few more moments after that?
I'm
No.
sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for your comments. I do want to reiterate that this is related to the pain rules, and we would like your comments for that and the pain rulemaking session.
Okay. Jeb, go ahead.
Good morning, Jeb Shepard, Director of Policy at the Washington State Medical Association. Just wanted to say thank you to the Commission on a couple of fronts. One, to Micah Matthews and Dr. Fino for attending our annual meeting in October in Spokane. Thanks for coming all the way to the east side of the state. Appreciated your presence and your listening to sort of what's on the mind of physicians as they discussed and debated resolutions. So thank you for being there, and hope you'll consider coming in the future. Your presence was appreciated. Second, also want to thank the Commission for working through some of the concerns we have on the AI interpretive statement. Dr. Domino, I won't go into detail because I know that's not this part of the agenda, but thank you to staff for your receptiveness to keep discussing and talking through that. That's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeb.
Thank you.
And then Maria Higginbotham.
Good morning. First, I want to express my gratitude to the Commission for considering the petition I filed earlier this year regarding the broad review of the opioid rules. I'm particularly grateful for the fact that you're going to look at the tapering portion of my petition, which was added to the current rulemaking. Since the AMDG updated the opioid dose calculator earlier this year, there has been a major policy shift in almost every pain clinic in the state. Most clinics have begun tapering all their patients, regardless of what medical conditions they have. One of these clinics in particular has 15 offices in the state. The results of these tapers have been catastrophic. These patients were once stable and now struggling with no quality of life, unable to function as they had and barely able to handle their own needs. Many times these patients are also taking care of other people, family members and whatnot. So it doesn't just affect the patient, it affects their entire family and the community because they require more resources. They were once under the watchful eye of a physician, and then often they choose to abandon the pain management because they don't feel they're getting what they need. And that leaves them with three choices: to live with their pain, suffer in agony, or go to the streets and try the dangerous street drugs that are out there. And many of them have committed suicide. I presented an attestation this morning to Amelia from one of the members involved in a study of the University of Alabama called CSI Opioids. Its purpose is to examine the suicides that happen after prescription opioid reductions in patients with long-term care. I don't know about you, but it saddens me greatly that that kind of a study needs to be done just because patients are being tapered. I really want to thank you again, and I appreciate your efforts on behalf of the chronic pain patients.
Well, thanks for your comments. I think, we really want to have these comments come in that rulemaking session, not here. So if
Right.
either of the other people who have their hands raised have comments that are similar to this, or have previously filed written comments, I don't want to take it, and I will, as chair, just to help us move along this meeting. We do listen to you. We've heard you. We would like to have your comments in the appropriate section of this meeting so that we can move along with things.
So Martha, are your comments about the rulemaking? If so, I will defer you down until we get to that portion of this meeting. I did unmute your mic.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes. Are your comments about the rules?
It's not about the rules. It's just about what I'm going through right now.
But if it's related to pain, we want to deal with it in the rulemaking session. It's just a parliamentary procedure. We would like to hear from you.
I did send a email to Amelia Boyd, and I just want to
Yes.
make sure that that is included.
Yes, it's in the packet, actually, your comment.
Okay, great. That's
Yeah.
I want to thank Maria Higginbotham, and I'm totally behind her. And
Thank you so much.
it's just horrible what they're doing. I mean, it's not affecting it's affecting my taking care of my husband and everything else. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was the only other hand we had raised. I work on lowering that hand.
Okay. Well, the chair report, in order to be brief, I want to just say one thing. We had a retreat last week on Friday, and it was excellent. I just really want to thank staff for putting it together. I felt as a commissioner, it was very educational, and it was great to have an opportunity to see other commissioners from both of our panels, as well as staff at that meeting. So thank you. Our next agenda item is the consent agenda. Oh,
But we
sorry.
need to move on to the first hearing because it was supposed to start at 9:15. Let me get that presentation pulled up. Sorry, Dr. Domino. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Amelia, we do need to go ahead and do the consent agenda just to approve the agenda, so.
Okay, go ahead then.
It's fine to start
Okay,
late for a rules
sorry,
hearing.
I'm trying to keep on time.
Yep,
It's hard.
we just can't start late for a rules hearing, but you're good, or I mean, early, so you're good to start late.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
thank you.
There were two agenda items in the consent agenda that include the approval of the October 11th, 2024 business meeting agenda, which is today's agenda, and the minutes from the that we need to approve from the July 19th, 2024 business meeting. And those are our two consent agendas. Can I have someone make a motion to approve these?
I move that we
Motion to
approve.
Second.
Good.
Second.
Yeah, great. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
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 He's a little sleepy, but.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that's passed. All right, we can now move ahead 3 minutes late with the military spouse temporary practice permit rules script.
Okay,
Okay,
here we go. Hold on just a second. Let me get situated. Okay, so good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this hearing today. I'm Amelia Boyd, and I'm the program manager for the commission and the organizer for this rules hearing. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available sometime next week on our YouTube channel. The documents which will be discussed here today are on the event calendar on our website, which is wmc.wa.gov. All attendees are muted, and panelists may unmute themselves and share their webcam. This is our agenda for this hearing, and then before the close of this hearing, we will discuss next steps. And this agenda was also in the packet. At this hearing, the commissioners will listen to testimony and vote on the proposed language on the two sections of WAC regarding military spouse temporary practice permits, which are WAC 246918 for physician, 918-076 for physician assistants, and WAC 246919397 for allopathic physicians, or MDs. When the hearing is open for testimony, please keep the following in mind. The commissioners will only consider comments related to the two WACs from the previous slide. If your testimony is not related to this rulemaking effort, you may be muted. If you have feedback on other areas of rulemaking, a slide near the end of the hearing will provide information on how to submit those comments. All testifiers will have 2 minutes to speak, and a timer will be displayed on the screen, and your microphone will be muted once your time is up. So I will begin the roll call of panelists and staff. When I call your name, please introduce yourself. Let me get back to that screen. Okay, so Dr. D'Souza, if you would introduce yourself, please.
Am I unmuted?
Oh, no, you're good now.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, my name is Anjali D'Souza. I'm a commission member.
Thank you. Miss Blake.
Hi, this is Christine Blake. I'm a public member of the commission.
Thank you. And then Dr. Cabrera.
Yeah, hello, this is Dr. Daniel Cabrera, physician member of the committee.
Dr. Chang.
Hi, this is Dr. Pushin Chang. I'm a family physician. I'm one of the commissioner.
Thank you. Dr. Chung. Maybe having trouble unmuting. All right, moving along to Dr. Curry. We'll come back to Dr. Chung maybe.
Hi, Diana Curry, OBGYN commission member.
Thank you. Dr. Gallinger.
Harlan Gallinger, physician commission member.
Thank you. Heather Carter.
Good morning, Heather Carter, Assistant Attorney General, Legal Advisor for the Commission.
Thank you. And Kyle.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kyle Kiernan. I'm the Executive Director for the Commission.
Mr. Lopez.
Good morning, Ed Lopez. I'm the PA Commissioner.
Dr. Lyle.
Good morning. Sarah Lyle, Commissioner, District 2 physician.
Thank you. Micah.
Good morning, Micah Matthews, Deputy Executive Director for the Commission.
Thank you. Mr. Rogers.
Hi, I'm Scott Rogers, Public Commission member.
And Dr. Trescott.
Hi, I'm Claire Trescott, Family Medicine Commissioner. Good morning.
Thank you. And then Marissa, if you would go ahead and introduce yourself since this is related to licensing. Okay, she may not be at her desk. And then is Dr. Chung back with us so he can introduce himself? Say that's a no, but he's there. So Dr. Domino, if you would please introduce yourself and then go ahead and begin the script.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Karen Domino. I'm the chair of the commission and the presiding officer for this rules workshop. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024, and right now, according to the computer, it is 9:23 a.m. This hearing is being held via Teams webinar and in person in the Department of Health located at 111 Israel Road Southeast in Tumwater, Washington. The proposed rule being considered today is regarding military spouse temporary practice permits. For today's hearing, all comments will be summarized and a summary will be provided as part of the CR-103 rules package when filed. Please do not interrupt individuals when testifying. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the Administrative Procedure Act, Chapter 34.05 RCW, and is being recorded for the official record in compliance with its requirements. The proposal or CR-102 rules package for this rulemaking was filed on August 27, 2024 at the Code Revisor's Office as Washington State Register number 24-18-041. Are there any questions regarding the rule or the hearing process before we begin the testimony? Please note that questions asked during this part of the hearing are not considered testimony and will not be included in the rulemaking record or file. Are there any questions or?
There are no hands raised.
All right. The prose language for this rule is included in the meeting packet and is also available on our website at wmc.wa.gov. Ms. Boyce, could you please provide an overview of the proposed language?
Get back to my screen. Okay, so the key changes to the two WACs that we're discussing in this rules hearing is there's a terminology update. We just changed the phrase practice permit is replaced with license throughout both of those WACs for clarity. We removed the domestic partner language. All the references to state registered domestic partners of a military person have been removed, streamlining the focus to military spouse in most parts. However, domestic partnership recognition remains in specific provisions for documentation. Applicants must hold an unrestricted active license from another state or U.S. territory with licensing standards equivalent to Washington State. There's no requirement for the applicant to have left employment in another state to accompany the military person, which was previously in these rules. Applicants must provide a copy of the military person's orders and one form of proof of relationship, which could include a military ID, marriage license, or domestic partnership documentation. And then an expedited temporary license expires when a full or limited license is issued. A decision on the application is mailed unless extended, or 180 days after the temporary license is issued. And then the expedited temporary license grants the applicant the full scope of practice for physicians or physician assistants. And the section maintains provisions for both military spouses and registered domestic partners, but simplifies and refines the application process and eligibility criteria. So you can discuss or take public testimony at this time on this particular rule. Or you can make a motion to adopt the rule.
Why don't we
as
see if
presented.
there's any public testimony of this? And if you do want to testify, please focus your comments on the content of the proposed rule, which you see up there and Ms. Boyd had talked about. When you testify, please state your name, the organization of individual you represent, and whether you support or oppose the proposed rule. Please use the raise hand feature and we will call on you and unmute your microphone. And please note, we're only hearing testimony on the two sections of the WAC regarding military spouse temporary practice permits, which are WAC 246-918-076 for physician assistants and WAC 246-919-397 for allopathic physicians. If your testimony does not address these two sections, you may be muted. You will have 2 minutes to speak with a visible timer, and your microphone will be muted after the time is up. I'm now open to hearing any public testimony.
There are no hands raised.
All right. Well, if there's no one who wishes to testimony, I'm going to close this I will close this testimony portion of the hearing. Has a department or commission received any written testimony from members of the public related to rules filed under WSR number 24-18-041?
No, there were no written comments received for this rulemaking.
All right, commissioners, you may now discuss the proposed rule. Do any commissioners have any comments regarding it? Ms. Boyd, are there any hands raised? Yes.
Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, good morning. I would like to speak in support of this rule change. I think it streamlines the licensure activity for spouses and domestic partners who may be traveling around the country with their partners and spouses and are able to work and help support military families. So I want to thank the commission for the work that was done, and I speak in support and wish to adopt it.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else have any comments? Seeing none, will the commission consider a motion to adopt the proposed language presented today regarding military spouse temporary practice permits for allopathic physicians and physician assistants?
Motion to adopt.
And we had a second as well, it sounds like, several seconds. All right. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any commissioners opposed to adopting this rule? Seeing none. Ms. Boyd will now outline the next steps and explain how to participate in this and future rule making efforts.
Thank you. So since you had made a motion to adopt the language, the next steps will be to file the CR 103, which is the permanent rulemaking, and these rules should be effective in early 2025. And then to submit written comments, you can always send them to medical.rules@wmc.wa.gov. And then to receive updates, information, and invitations to future rulemaking activities. Obviously, I know you cannot click this link, but if you go to any rule on our rulemaking page, you will be able to get to signing up for our RulesGov delivery distribution list.
All right. Well, thanks for your participation. This hearing is adjourned. Oh, Mr. Kreninen, you have something to say?
Sorry, Dr. Domino, go ahead and close this, and then I have something I need to bring to Amelia's attention.
Okay. Well, the hearing is now adjourned and the time is now 9:32 a.m. All right. Thanks again for your participation.
Amelia, just to let you know, we got a message from Dr. Wones that he is having a hard time joining as a participant, so he's able to hear and listen, but not actually vote. So if we can get him moved over into the participants category, that would be great.
Okay, I will look for him. Well, I don't see him in the participants.
I think he's not a participant. Is that? Yeah. So our next session is at 9:45. What should we do? Should we move on with a different part of the agenda or what?
Yes, you can do that. You can start with new business if you would like.
Okay. We'll use that unless people would rather have a break, but I think we built a break in here somewhere. Is that correct?
After the next hearing, there's a break, yes.
All right, well, why don't we go with some of the new business? There's the 2026 meeting dates. Ms. Boyd, will you present those?
Yes. So these are the meeting dates we've come up with for 2026. This schedule is based on the schedule we have already approved for next year, so it's very similar. I tried to create a new format so that it's easier to see when holidays are and things like that. So my request here today is either to approve this presented schedule, or we can modify it if need be and bring it back to a future business meeting.
Do we have any comments about this? I only have one, and that's that, you know, it's very hard to sit here on a computer that's small and run a meeting. I only see 8 people, and there are 7 pages of attendees of this meeting. And I wish that we had some of these as, I don't mind some virtual, but especially when we're dealing with rules hearings as well, I feel that it's a better experience for us all if we have it in person. And I do acknowledge that it is challenging for some of the commissioners as well as some of the people testifying. Perhaps having a virtual or, a hybrid meeting, which could be a little more flexible, would be helpful. And that's my only comment about it.
Go ahead, Mr. Bailey.
Just want to acknowledge the new format and share my appreciation. I recognize the difference and it is easier to identify availability. So just want to share my appreciation to you and to staff for the new format.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments?
Ms. Blake?
Thank you, Amelia. Dr. Domino, I agree that I think some of these, especially when we have rules hearings and so forth, are better in person. So I just want to acknowledge your comment.
Anyone else have any comments?
Dr. Gallagher?
Harlan. I think that having a retreat in April during time that could be spring break is going to be challenging. So anything that you may require a quorum, you should consider that.
Any other comments? Do we have to have a vote? I mean, because I think Dr. Gallagher's point is very important. Myself, because we need people to attend these meetings, and spring break is a challenging time, and they all differ.
So for that particular meeting, we can move it wherever because it's not a regular meeting. It's not a business meeting or personal appearances. Those types of meetings need to be filed with the code advisor. The commissioner retreat does not. So we can make that whenever you would like.
Okay, so we're really, we can maybe add that to our vote. So do I have a motion to approve this with the moving the other meeting, looking further at that one meeting? Is that a retreat? Is that what it is? Sorry, I can't see it on the screen.
It is. So moved.
A second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Right, it passes.
Thank you. And next item on the agenda is old business.
Okay, are there any reports from any of the Washington Medical Commission's committees or work groups? You'll see the written reports begin on page 69 and page 71 for a list of the committee and work groups. No reports, hearing none. We'll move on to 6.2 rulemaking activities. The rules progress report. Oh, sorry.
So, sorry to interrupt. Yes, the rules progress report is provided on page 73. So you approved 2 expedited rulemakings some time back, and we have completed that process. And now we are asking to initiate the CR 103, which is permanent rulemaking for both of these rules. So you've seen this language before, you've approved it, expedited rulemaking doesn't change the intent of rules, and usually it is to clean up, which is the case for the second one. We were removing references to osteopathic physician assistants. And then the first one is for the physician assistant collaborative practice, and we were just making our rules align with the bill. So my ask here today is to approve initiating rulemaking on both of these items.
Do any commissioners have any questions or comments regarding these rules? No comments or Ms. Boyd? No one has
Nope,
any?
I don't see any hand raised.
Okay, well, can we take both of these in one
Yes.
vote? Yeah, great. I'd like to entertain, please make a motion to approve both of these permanent rulemaking processes listed here.
Motion to approve both rules.
In a second? Great. All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Since we only have 4 minutes left, I'm not sure I don't want to get into the policy committee report.
Yes, because it's very
I
long.
guess we can ask for any member reports if we have 4 minutes before we can begin the other session. Anyone have any member reports? Hearing or seeing none. About staff reports, anyone have? We thank you for all your written reports that we have there, which we've read. Anyone have any thing that they'd like to highlight in the next few minutes?
Kyle?
Mr. Keenan.
Hi, Dr. Domino. I don't have anything to add to the staff report. However, I would like to take the moment and request that anybody who is available on the commission for an emergency case management team meeting, we're looking at possibly doing it this afternoon. If you can email Frida and let her know that you're available, that would be great. Again, very short notice, but if you have availability at some point this afternoon, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Is there a specific time, Kyle, or just if you're available through the afternoon?
I think just the afternoon. We just got a report in that we need to deal with immediately.
Okay.
And so Frida will be organizing. So we don't have a specific time at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jimmy, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly say thank you to Mr. Lopez and Britta Fisher for speaking yesterday at the Washington Academy of Physician Assistants meeting. They gave a great presentation on what happens after a complaint is filed with the commission. And this morning, I'm still at the conference talking to folks. But lots of positive feedback this morning, and I just wanted to let everyone know what a great job they did and how appreciative I am of them taking the time to give that presentation.
Great. Any other staff reports? Maybe you can send around the slides so we can all see what was said at the PA meeting. It would be great. Thank you.
I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful. All right. Well, I think we will move back to the hearing on the general provisions of opioid prescribing. And so we will still have another minute to go before we start that. Ms. Boyd, do we need to have another roll call for here in case people have come or gone? Or was your one originally adequate?
That is a question I was gonna ask Heather, actually. I'm not sure if we need to or
I don't think you need to have a roll call, but I would just have you confirm that you still have a quorum. I think you can do that by visually, yeah.
Okay. So let me get this presentation started. Okay. All right. So it is 9:45, so we will get started. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Amelia Boyd and the program manager for the commission and the organizer for this hearing, which is being recorded and will be made available sometime next week on our YouTube channel. The documents which will be discussed here today are on the event calendar on our website, which is wmc.wa.gov. All attendees are muted. Panelists may unmute themselves and share their webcam. So here is the agenda for this hearing. And then before the close of this hearing, we will discuss next steps. And then at this hearing, the commissioners will listen to testimony, consider written comments, and vote on the proposed language for the following 3 items, which is exempting patients with sickle cell disease, stating in rule that not all chronic pain patients need to be tapered off opioids, and then stating in rule that decisions regarding patient treatment should not be based solely on one aberrant biological specimen test. When the hearing is open for testimony, please keep the following in mind. The commissioners will only consider comments related to the 3 items presented on the previous slide. If your testimony is not related to this rulemaking effort, we won't mute you, but we may interrupt you. If you have feedback on other areas of rulemaking, a slide near the end of the hearing will provide information on how to submit those comments. All testifiers will have 2 minutes to speak, and a timer will be displayed on the screen, and your microphone will be muted once your time is up. If your written comment is included in the hearing materials, it has already been reviewed, and any relevant comments will be considered by the commissioners in this rulemaking process. Please refrain from testifying if your comments are merely a repetition of your written comments. And as mentioned, we will not do a roll call. However, I will verify that there are 12. I believe we have 13 commissioners right now, actually. So, Dr. Domino, you may begin the script.
Okay, so good morning. My name is Karen Domino. I will be the presiding officer for this rules workshop. Today is Friday, October 11th, 2024, and it is now 9:48 a.m. The meeting's being held via Teams webinar and in person at the Department of Health located at 111 Israel Road, Southeast in Tumwater, Washington. The proposed rule being considered today is regarding general provisions for opioid prescribing and tapering for allopathic physicians and physician assistants. For today's hearing, all comments will be summarized and a summary will be provided as part of the CR-101 rules package when filed. Please do not interrupt individuals when who are testifying. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the Administrative Procedure Act, Chapter 34.05 RCW, and is being recorded for the official record in compliance with its requirements. The proposal, or CR-102 rules package for this rulemaking was filed on August 30th, 2024 at the Code Revisor's Office at the Washington State Register number 24-18-091. And I just want to make a mention that this is a very focused rulemaking, and we have to complete this rulemaking before we reopen a new rulemaking to address a lot of the comments from the public that were very helpful in the earlier time, both that was heard today as well as in the preceding rulemaking. So I want to ask, are there any comments regarding the rule or hearing process before we begin the testimony? Please note that the questions asked during this part of the hearing are not considered testimony and will not be included in the rulemaking record or file. Any questions regarding this? All right.
There are no hands raised.
Okay, seeing no questions, the proposed language for this rule is included in the meeting packet. And it's also available on our website at wmc.washington.wa.gov. Ms. Boyd, could you please provide an overview of the proposed language?
So as mentioned previously, we are making an addition to the exclusion sections of both the physician assistant and the allopathic physician sections. We are adding in that the treatment of patients with sickle cell disease is exempt from the opioid prescribing rules. Secondly, we are adding in a sentence to the beginning, well, a sentence and a half to the beginning of the tapering consideration sections for both MDs and PAs, which states that not all chronic pain patients will need their opioid prescriptions tapered. And then we've just edited the second sentence to say relying on medical decision-making and patient-centered treatment, the physician, assistant, or MD should consider tapering or referral for a substance use disorder evaluation when, and then you can visit what's already there. And then I skipped one. So then we are also adding this paragraph to the periodic review chronic pain sections for both MDs and PAs, which talks about a single biological an inherent, that is a hard word for me to say, sorry. Biological specimen test should not be used in a punitive manner, but should be used in the context of other clinical information to inform and improve patient care. And that PAs and MDs should not dismiss patients from care on the basis of a biological specimen test result alone. And so those are the three things that you are considering today, is these changes to these sections. And you've already seen this language. You approved it for this hearing today. And as Dr. Domino mentioned, we have received many comments previously during the workshops. This is actually the second hearing for this particular rule, because we had to re-add in the biological specimen testing. So that is what you are discussing today.
Yeah, and anyway, I do want to again just say that we'd like to address these things. We have to close this rulemaking before we can open up a new rulemaking that can address a lot of the very valuable things that came up and feedback that came up from the earlier discussion. And I also want to point out the reason why this one was so limited, it really was directed at basically making our rules in line with what the CDC came out with in their revision of their rules last year. So that's why we're dealing with sickle cell disease, because that was listed in the CDC. We understand and we recognize that there are many reasons of chronic issues to have chronic pain, and that can be addressed and expanded in additional rulemaking once we finish this process. Anyway, we will now begin the testimony portion of the meeting. When testifying, please focus your comments on the content of this proposed rule, which you see above. When you testify, please state your name, the organization or individual you represent, and whether you support or oppose the proposed rule. Please use the raise hand feature and we will call on you and unmute your microphone. Please note, we are only hearing testimony on the three items: exempting patients with sickle cell disease, stating the rule that not all chronic pain patients need to be tapered off opioid, and stating in the rule that decisions regarding patient treatment should not be based solely on one aberrant biological specimen test. To reiterate the guidelines provided earlier, if your testimony does not address these in 3 items, we may ask you to not discontinue your ability to speak, because we understand, we know that. We have up to 2 minutes to speak with a timer, and your microphone will be muted after the time is up. If your written comment is already included in hearing materials, it has been reviewed, so please avoid repeating it in testimony. I now open the hearing for public testimony.
So real quick. So we have 2 hands raised. First, Rose. Go ahead, Rose.
Hi there, Rose Bigham, Washington Patients and Intractable Pain. Hello, everybody. As usual, I support the Medical Commission's wise choices here. Sickle cell change makes perfect sense. You have to map to what the CDC's revision added. The single aberrant specimen test makes perfect sense. And the not all chronic pain patients, it's not the first time you've stated that. I appreciate you adding this in to restate that stable patients should not be tapered unless there's some medical necessity to do so. So just in general, I just wanted to say, continue to be encouraged and relieved that you are our partners in ensuring sane and reasonable pain care in Washington State. And I hope we can continue to encourage physicians to appropriately treat their patients in reasonable and thoughtful ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
And then Susan? Let me get your mic unmuted. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Susan Olson, you're up.
Okay, there I go. I had to unmute on my end. I'm sorry. My name is Susan Olson. I'm a lifelong resident of Washington State. I'm also a chronic pain patient under the care of multiple physicians for lupus, ankylosing spondylitis, fibromyalgia, and chronic pain. In the past 6 years, I've had 16 surgeries. I have over 106 pieces of hardware in my body. In the 10 years that I've been in the care of a pain team, I have never had an off pill count, a UA of concern, missed a rescheduled appointment, requested a refill because I ran out sooner than I should have. Yes, I can prove every one of those statements. If a patient is in compliance with the physician pain contract, a UA should not be the only thing that removes them from pain care. So that rule is very important. In my last pain patient appointment, my current MME was at 80. And he said because of the rules and how he can prescribe, we had to taper. So we tapered down by 1 pill, and that has put my whole life into a turmoil. My son has now had to move with me to help me just do daily events such as shopping, cooking, laundry. So the mandatory tapering is really, really important. If I'm in full compliance and you have documentations of everything that I'm dealing with, I shouldn't have been forced to taper. I'm sitting here getting ready to have a left knee replacement and a right shoulder replacement, along with breast reconstruction surgery from breast cancer, and I'm terrified about my pain control. I fully support Maria Higginbottom's petition, and I really hope you see the difference that this will make for people, and I thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then I know your name is not Chuck, but you are up next. Let me unmute you. So you should be able to speak. It's muted on your end. I'm not able to do anything on my end.
Oh man, there you go.
Right. Hi, my name is
there we go.
Kathy File. My name is Kathy File, and I'm from Olympia, Washington. I'm a patient and a participant and society in Olympia. I have want to support the sickle cell, adding that as an exemption, but I do believe that there are many other kinds of things that also need to be added to that, not just sickle cell. And so, and I also believe that the tapering is really important to add that. But I also feel like that physicians are confused about how to be able to do that and do that safely for their patients. I won't even go into the list of what I deal with on a day-to-day basis in my life at this point. But I will tell you that physicians who are just top in their field, and part of the problem with the opioid epidemic is that I will not even tell you the names or the areas where I go to see those doctors because of fear of them getting in trouble, losing their license. I know other doctors who have lost their license. So I just want to give you an idea about what happens when I walk into the doctor's office and they're making a decision whether to taper or to let me continue on the medication that's been working for me. I have to make sure that I'm dressed correctly, that I'm not too slovenly and I'm not dressed up too much, because that will indicate that I'm a drug seeker. If I make too much eye contact with the doctor or not enough, that also is noted in my chart. I can't show too much emotion. If I cry, for sure, I'm a drug seeker. I can't.
I'm so
well,
sorry.
well, thank you for your comments. We really do appreciate. We are limiting comments to 2 minutes. I have a couple suggestions for you. Please, whatever else you had to say, you can submit via written comments. And in addition, once we finish with this rulemaking and we institute our new rulemaking, it's just the procedure that has to be done. We also want to hear your comments then as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Sarah Tompkins.
My name is Sarah Tompkins. I am a chronic pain patient and board member with the Northwest Rare Disease Coalition and Connective Strength, a nonprofit for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome patients in our community and support group. As a chronic pain patient, I wanted to thank you so much for your time today and for the Washington Medical Commission for this ruling. I agree that sickle cell patients should be exempt, and along with my other advocates, agree that there are other conditions, particularly rare diseases or diseases like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, that could benefit from such exemption. I appreciate the rule that chronic pain patients should not be tapered off opioids if deemed not medically necessary. My concern is that the language might not go far enough. We have many different providers. For example, I'm a chronic pain patient and receive regular pain patient care, but when I have additional surgeries to fix joints or I had an open abdominal repair, that physician did not feel comfortable writing post-operative meds because I was already a chronic pain patient. So I had to go to my chronic pain doctor and get medication for her to prescribe, which really isn't in her job. She should not have to provide post-operative pain medicine to a chronic pain patient regularly. So I appreciate so much these rules and hope that they will go further in the future. I also am grateful for stating that treatment decisions should not be based off solely a single aberrant biological specimen test, as we know that one test is not representative of a patient's total care and what they're going through. And we want that relationship between doctors and patients to be a team collaborative effort where everybody is part of the care-making process. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your work on these rules and look forward to participating in the future for more rulemaking. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for your comments.
Hey, Sunil Agarwal? Agrawal? I'm so sorry. You may need to unmute yourself. Your mic is available. There you go.
Hello.
You are unmuted on my end.
It's hard to hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
sorry about that. I'm Sunil Agarwal. I'm a physician here, licensed in Washington. I'm hospice and palliative medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. I take care of a number of patients with chronic pain on opioid management. I appreciate the commission addressing issues to resolve the stigma that many of these patients face and access barriers and confusion across the medical community here. So I support these rules. And I just, the one point I would want to raise is the biological specimen testing. I don't know, it would be nice to see that that was also discretion given to clinical appropriateness or within the context of the relationship, because oftentimes patients who are stable for years, just sending them for an expensive biological specimen test is unnecessary and introduces the possibility that, that they're considered, aberrant drug users when that's not ever been an issue. And so maybe some kind of modification, like if appropriate. I know other rules have suggested that those be part of treatment plans, but I'm just not sure. And the CDC original, report that the revision came out of, a lot of criticism was raised about the conflicts of interest of the writers of the original CDC report, the PROP community. It was raised at my Academy meeting of Hospice and Palliative Medicine and published. So I don't know if that originally came out of that, but I think that it would be better to just create more clinical discretion all around. And so, doctors could do their jobs and patients could feel like we were making decisions based on their particular issues and not, stigmatizing them based on others who have maybe had problematic use of opioids. So those are just my 2 cents. And thank you so much for continuing to resolve this issue for public health.
Thanks a lot for your comments.
There are no other hands raised.
Okay. Well, if there's no other hand raises, I'm going to close the testimony portion of this hearing. Has the department or commission received any written testimony from members of the public related to rules filed under WSR number 24-18-091?
Yes, we received several comments and I will go over a summary of those comments. Hold on just a moment. So we received 50 comments, and actually we received 52 comments at this time. So, and while each was distinct, several themes emerged from those comments. We will address each of those topics over the next several slides before the commissioners discuss. So one of the first ones was that chronic pain patients often face stigma and bias in medical settings. And while we acknowledge the concerns regarding stigma and bias faced by chronic pain patients, the WMC is committed to fostering a compassionate and equitable healthcare environment. We continue to actively work to educate healthcare providers about the importance of understanding chronic pain and addressing the biases that may affect patient care. Our goal is to ensure that all patients receive appropriate pain management without discrimination, and we encourage open dialogue to enhance provider-patient relationships. One of the next themes was that many patients experience abrupt medical tapering, which leads to worsening pain and quality of life. And we do recognize the serious concerns surrounding abrupt pain medication tapering and its impact on patients' pain levels and overall quality of life. We emphasize the importance of a collaborative approach between healthcare providers and patients when managing pain treatment plans. Abrupt changes in medication can be harmful, and we encourage practitioners to consider individual patient needs and circumstances. Ongoing education and guidelines are being implemented to help ensure the tapering practices prioritize patient safety, and well-being. There's a strong call for policies that protect access to necessary opioid treatment for stable patients, and we acknowledge the urgent need for policies that safeguard access to necessary opioid treatments for patients who are stable on their prescribed medications. We are committed to developing guidelines that ensure patients receive appropriate pain management while also addressing concerns related to the opioid crisis. Our focus remains on balancing effective pain relief with patient safety, and we encourage ongoing dialogue with healthcare providers and patients to create an environment that supports responsible prescribing practices. And of note, we do have 2 guidelines in place. They are available on our website that talk about this very thing. And then physicians fear regulatory scrutiny leading to undertreatment of pain. And we recognize that physicians may experience fear of regulatory scrutiny, which can lead to the undertreatment of pain in patients. We understand that this environment can discourage effective pain management practices. To address this, we are committed to providing clear guidelines and support for healthcare providers, ensuring they can confidently prescribe appropriate treatments. And again, we encourage a collaborative approach that prioritizes patient well-being while upholding regulatory standards. And then tapering can cause psychological distress, increasing the risk of suicide and illicit drug use. We acknowledge that tapering of opioid medications can lead to significant psychological distress for patients, which may increase the risk of suicide and illicit drug use. We are committed to ensuring that physicians understand the importance of individualized treatment plans and the necessity of considering a patient's overall well-being. Our focus is on providing guidelines that promote safe and compassionate care while minimizing the risk associated with abrupt medication changes. There's a lack of clear guidelines regarding opioid prescribing limits, as Washington State has no upper limit on opioid dosages. We recognize the concerns regarding the absence of clear guidelines on opioid prescribing limits in Washington State. While there is currently no upper limit on opioid dosages, we are dedicated to ensuring that our regulatory framework supports safe and effective pain management practices. And again, we encourage that ongoing dialogue with healthcare professionals and interested parties to develop guidelines that balance the need for adequate pain relief with patient safety. And then the CDC's guidelines have contributed to significant patient harm by promoting inflexible opioid policies. We recognize the concerns regarding the CDC's opioid prescribing guidelines and their impact on patient care. While these guidelines aim to address the opioid crisis, we acknowledge that they can inadvertently result in restrictive policies that may harm patients. We are committed to reevaluating our approach to ensure that pain management practices are both effective and compassionate, prioritizing the health and well-being of our patients while addressing the challenges faced by healthcare providers. And then just to mention, and Dr. Domino has already mentioned that the commission did approve rulemaking to start after this one is complete. So once this rulemaking effort concludes, we will begin revising all Washington Administrative Codes or WACs related to opioid prescribing for medical doctors and physician assistants. This initiative will prioritize the enhancement of patient welfare and ensure that prescribing practices align with the needs of those in pain. So this is not the last time that the written comments and things like that and testimony will be received on opioid prescribing. We will be opening that rulemaking as soon as this one's complete. And so most of next year, we will have workshops on all of our WACs that are related to opioid prescribing.
Thanks so much,
And then
Ms. Boyd. Oh, sorry.
we received 2 additional comments, which I will pull up now. We got them late yesterday. I did email them out to the commissioners. The first one is the report that, well, let me make it bigger. The report that Ms. Higginbotham did speak about. So this is the report. And again, I did email this out, but it is not in the meeting materials. So I'm just going to leave it up here for a moment so that the public can read it. And then I will pop up the next one. So here is the second one that we received. Again, it's tiny. I'll try and make it bigger.
Amelia?
Okay. Yes.
Wasn't wasn't that last one from somebody we heard from earlier already, I think?
It could be.
Oh, okay. I didn't see a name. Okay.
This is Susan. Yes, it is, because I didn't know if it was going to get in time, and so I appeared anyway, and I'm sorry.
That's all fine, thank you. Right. Ms. Boyd, are you finished with your presentation or you have more?
Nope, I am done.
Okay, Mr. Matthews has had his hand up.
I wasn't sure if it was appropriate to address the last comment made with respect to a clarification on what the rules say currently.
I think that is appropriate. Go ahead.
Sure. So to the physician who spoke and addressed the specimen testing, currently the rules already have that in place. So I'll be clear that the first part is WAC 246919910, which is the treatment plan. And that's speaking when a patient goes from the subacute to the chronic phase of pain. And at that point, the treatment plan and objectives does include a biological specimen test. And that's because you're evaluating the patient as if they are presenting with a new disease, which is what the intent of the commission was when they passed that. The next section, which is 246919915, speaks to a written agreement for a treatment plan. And I want to read the specific language to confirm that the physician does have discretion in ordering those tests. And so this is sub 1. It says the patient's agreement to provide samples for biological specimen testing when requested by the physician. So I want to emphasize that there is discretion for physicians in doing those tests and whether they want to do them or not. However, in a later section of the rule, if there are what I'll say indicators for abuse, misuse, that is an indicator that we list for physicians to consider doing a biological specimen testing to confirm whether or not the medications are being used appropriately. Thanks.
Thanks for providing that information. Right. All right, commissioners, you may now discuss the relevant testimony and written comments. If anyone has any comments, just say we appreciate all your comments. And we will also hope to hear from you when we consider a different rule making than this one as well. I don't see any commissioners wanting to make any comments.
Go ahead, Dr. Cabrera.
Yeah, it was just actually relates to the last comments that were made by Dr. Agarwal. As far as I was just wanting to get a little more specificity. What was the concern? Was it for the biological testing and monitoring of the chronic pain patients that feels burdensome, the current way it's written for the different risk levels? That's all I just wanted to clarify from Dr. Agarwal what the concern was there.
Are we allowed to go back to Dr. Agarwal?
Sure. I mean, if he wants clarification,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you. Well, the previous speaker did clarify what I was not sure about, whether, it was mandatory, and I was concerned that there was an extra burden placed on patients where we didn't have any concern for aberrant activity that was, stable for many years, and whether I need to send them annually to the lab, for a 14 toxicology urine panel, and they pay whatever they have to pay for that lab work if it's not covered by their insurance. And oftentimes patients are on fixed incomes, so it was I was clarifying whether it wasn't clear to me, you know whether that was sort of a, well, we really strongly want you to do that, even just sort of to be on the safe side. And I wasn't sure if this proposed rule was adding to that kind of, you know insistence or standard of care. But the previous speaker clarified that it's really only in the transition from subacute to chronic that it's really, considered appropriate, and then other times only if warranted based on, aberrant behavior issues. So I was concerned that without those, that would be overly burdensome to do that for every patient every year, or with some every 6 months, or whatever frequency. And so I appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I also suggest when we open this up for a different rulemaking, that perhaps you could make some suggestions regarding the language in order to make it clearer. This rulemaking is quite limited.
Absolutely. I'll be happy to participate. Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking too, in anticipation of future discussions. So thank you for that.
Any other commissioners have any comments? All right. Seeing none, and I do again want to say thanks everyone, all the testimony. We appreciate it from everybody. It's good for us to hear this, and we appreciate the written testimony, and we are taking this seriously. So will the commission consider a motion to adopt the proposed language presented today regarding general provisions for opioid prescribing and tapering for allopathic physicians and physician assistants? So will someone want to make a motion for this, adopting this language?
I'll make a motion to accept. Yes. Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right. Appears to have passed. Ms. Boyd, please outline the next steps and explain how to participate in this and future rulemaking efforts.
Thank you. So again, with like the previous rule, since you have adopted this language today, we will file the CR 103 or the permanent rulemaking documents, and these rules will be effective in early 2025. And that at that time, once these rules are effective, we can go ahead and file our CR 101, which is like inquiry for rulemaking for the next set of rules that we're going to do, where we will open all of the opioid prescribing sections. And then if you want to submit written comments about those rules, you can do that now at medical.rules@wmc.wa.gov. And then again, to also sign up for our Gov delivery. If you need that link, I can email it to you if you reach out through that medical.rules. And then, yeah, that is how you would contact us for that. Thank you everyone for this.
Well, thanks everyone for participating. This hearing is now adjourned. The time is now 10:25 a.m. We will, if you go to the next page for our meeting, you will notice there's a break. It will be a 10-minute break, and then we will resume the rest of the business meeting. So we'll return at 10:35 for that portion of the meeting. And the next agenda item, I believe, is the policy committee report. Thanks so much.
Dr. Domino, it's Chris.
Yes.
After I submit my policy committee report, I think my daughter needs to get to the ER. I have a feeling it's her appendix. So once that report is over, I will excuse myself if you still have quorum.
Do you want to just move ahead with that since that sounds urgent?
If I might, please,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, well, why don't we get started on that, then we'll just
Can I just
have a
give this
break
report?
after that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And in the interest of time, I will, hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to take a look at these policies. Amelia, I'll wait till you have an opportunity to get to that section on the screen.
Can you see the screen now? I'm at the policy
yes.
committee report. Okay.
Can see it. So the first proposed policy is processing complaints against medical students, residents, and fellows. It be on pages 90 to 91 of your agenda packet. Are there any questions, comments, or any additional input, concerns?
Ms. Blake?
Yes.
Hi, in the interest of time, just as a FYI, I did send you an email about how we could go about this. If you don't mind, I'll just explain to the commissioners the 3 votes that the policy committee is asking for, and it will expedite your consideration.
Go right ahead.
So good morning, commissioners. So what we're looking at are 3 votes. The first one is a reaffirmation, and I'm going to not go in order here, but a reaffirmation of the medical director's roles, duties, and responsibilities. This is a regular 4-year update. If you've looked in the packet, I don't think there was anything substantive changed or added on that. The second vote that we're asking for, which will be the final one in this case, is the rescission of the telemedicine policy. Now, this needs to be rescinded because the Uniform Telehealth Law was passed in Washington. We were the first state to do it, and it contains all of your policy positions, and now that's statute, so it is now superseded. And finally, this will be a group vote. The proposed policy for processing complaints against medical students, that was a guideline or a guideline/procedure, and that has now been converted into a policy by stripping away the internal procedural portions. The second one is the commissioner and pro tem recusal policy, and the third one is the qualified physician interpretive statement related to the optometry expansion of their scope law, and the rulemaking that the Board of Optometry is conducting currently. And then finally, a proposed policy on artificial assistive and augmented intelligence. These 4 will be voted on as a group unless one of the commissioners objects. And what you're voting on is to approve to send all 4 of those through the Secretary Review Office and review process. And I want to be clear, what that means is you are sending these for comment for the Department of Health, the Secretary of Health, the various boards and commissions that may have comment about this. They will come back to you at a future meeting, and Amelia is going to have to correct me if it's policy or business. And then you will consider those comments at that point. So for the stakeholders, this is not the last time you're going to see these and have the ability to comment on these. The earliest that some of these could get adopted, should the Secretary's office operate timely, would be in January. So that you will see these again, but that's the process for the votes. And I will also explain one other thing. We've received a lot of comments and emails from stakeholders on the artificial assisted intelligence document. I will say that we are going to be meeting with some associations later this month to work on their concerns and where we can tighten up some language and address some of those issues. And with that, I'll turn it right back over to Ms. Blake.
Appreciate all of that, Micah. What he said. So, so I appreciate that, Micah. I appreciate you doing that for me. Are there any additional questions or issues with regard to any of these documents or Micah's review of all of them? If not, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, just one quick clarification for the policy for the processing complaints for the students, residents, and fellows. I was just looking at it, is there anything that says that for the residents and fellows that are practicing independently outside of their training spaces, that if they do get a complaint filed and an investigation begins, that would somehow get communicated back to their training program so that they have situational awareness about that? I didn't see that was in there specifically.
That would be covered under a separate process. And so there's two potential flavors of what you're talking about. The first one, which is the more cut and dried, is if someone who has a residency or fellowship license is practicing outside of their program that they've been approved for, that's probably just going to be a regular complaint process. That's almost like practicing without a license. They are not authorized to get out of their program. If they have completed 24 months of training and they have converted over to a full license, and they sorry, I'm getting some background.
Hey, there's whoever's talking in the background, please.
I got it.
Thank you.
All right,
I got it.
So if they practice if they get 24 months of training and they are practicing outside of the program, that is permissible if they've converted over to a full license. Usually what we see with that is moonlighting. And at that point, they sort of graduate from the concept of this policy. They've got a full license. They are responsible for their own work if they're practicing in that setting. Now, if the complaint is in a setting of a residency or fellowship, and in this policy, fellowship is more limited in how it applies, then yes, the program director would be notified under the concepts of this policy, but only if they have that full license and they're working within the auspices of that program. If they're outside moonlighting, the responsibility is theirs.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Are there any other questions or comments? If none, then may I have approval for the 3 policies, I believe, in the proposed interpretive statement to be forwarded to the DOH secretary for review?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And the last one is the renewal, the document that was up for its 4-year review.
Can we have a vote on that? Thanks.
Yes. And may I have also have approval as written on the guidance document for medical directors' roles, duties, and responsibilities? May I have approval for that document as written?
Ms. Blake, I think we
Yes.
need to have a
Go ahead.
vote on.
Okay, my
the
apologies.
four.
May I have a motion to approve?
Did we have a
You have a
vote on
motion
the
in
first
second,
one?
yeah.
Yeah, I think we did the first one already.
Just
All,
you need to call all in
yeah.
favor and all
Yeah.
opposed. Yep.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but my mind
okay,
is
we
on
understand.
getting my daughter
Got
to
a lot
the ER.
going on.
Okay.
Can I just cover for her?
Yes. Would
Yes.
you please? Thank you. I gotta go.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Bye.
All right, all in favor of sending those 3 policies to the secretary's office for their DOH comments, and we'll be seeing them again for other comments. Say aye or raise your hand.
Yeah.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
All right. The second one dealt with, let me look for this, approval. Sorry.
The
Let me look on my.
reaffirmation. This is a
Yeah.
reaffirmation of the medical director's roles and responsibilities. That's item 7.3.
Okay,
And
that's up
we've already
for a
had
4-year
we've
review. It was
already had a
approved.
motion.
Yeah, okay. All in favor of approving that for from its 4-year review? Say all in favor, say, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? That one passes. And what's the last one?
The vote
So
to
we
rescind the
actually-
telemedicine policy.
And
And
then
then
that one is,
we-
yeah.
Sorry. We didn't approve the interpretive statement. We only approved the 3 policies. That was their vote.
The motion was for the 3 policies and the interpretive statement per Ms. Blake.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, then yes. Rescind the telemedicine.
All right. All in favor of rescinding the telemedicine policy? Raise your hand or say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
I'll pass. Well, the last thing on the item, I think we finished up staff member reports. Is that correct? Any other staff have any other things to say? Because I know we moved on due to the time. If not, we have Ms. Carter's report, Attorney
Yeah,
General's
and nothing
office.
to report today, so have a great weekend.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for participating. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you at a meeting sometime. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.